Hey everybody, what is up? This is Devin, LaVore, and
Michelle LaVore
coming at
you.
And we just say welcome to the channel. We are blessed to be a part of your story as you have been a part of our story. And I'm just super glad that our story is just out there on video. All of our failures, all of our ups and downs, all of the we thoughts, and you know what I mean? Well, we thought this was gonna, and this was everything. And you can just clearly see the documented evidence of God in our life through the rights and the wrongs and the oopses and the yahoo, look at what God did, because ultimately the whole story is look at what God did.
Yeah.
And we're on season 4 right now. I don't know what episode this is, I forget. But we say welcome. Hope you get something out of today. Hope the Lord blesses you with something. And He, a lot of times, what does the Scripture say? Scripture says, "Little by little makes it grow." And I tell you what, man. If you can get just a little bit of something from the Lord through our channel, then praise the Lord. Mission accomplished, right? And so, welcome. But also, we are a support-based channel, and we pretty much live like this week after week after week. And as we're coming into this next week, because you're watching this on Sunday, by tomorrow we're going to be booking another stay here, unless God does something miraculously, amazingly different. And we have a PayPal link below, through which, if you feel led to support, you can click that and support us. Long story short, it's the only thing we have right now to support. We've covered all the other options, and this is what the Lord has for us to do right now. And so if you want to click that, that's really super cool, especially as we go into our next week, because every time we're at the threshold of a next week, we generally are like needing more support, because God just has us right on the edge pretty much all the time. So if you want to click it and give to us, you feel led, praise the Lord, we thank you. And we also just say a huge thank you to all those who have been giving to us. And some people have been giving to us this entire journey. They have seen all of our ups and downs and our highs and lows and all the tears and the laughter, and every place in between. So we just say thank you to you guys who have been giving to us, and I think that's it. Big hug from us.
All right.
So we got some really cool stuff to share. Take it away, Michelle. No, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to do that.
You're funny. So today we just kind of really wanted to share just about really the promise process. And
which has begun.
Yes, it has begun. And this is something that the Lord has really just been speaking to us about this week, and just kind of showing us. But I feel like, if anything, it was like there's just more to it that the Lord's been showing us.
Oh, yeah.
And as with the Lord, it's so funny. I feel like he's working with layers when he's bringing healing to our hearts. It's like, all right, I just go layer by layer until I get to the very deep of it. But then at the same time, when he's building us up, it's layer by layer. He doesn't just plop something down and it's like, boom, here you go, a lot of times. And so I feel like with the promise process, even just how he's been showing us, like, hey, this is what's happening, this is what's going on. It's like this layering, like a lasagna, like you're building it up rather than like taking it apart. And so I just think it's been really interesting. So some of this may or may not, I know we've touched on some of it in a couple of our videos.
Some of the promise process and recent videos, but what we're going to share today is just either it's a refresher or it's 80% brand new.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. And so, like we said, I just believe that at the start of this year, from January 1st, God has really shown us like we have stepped into the new.
First step, build an altar. For 21 days.
And we did that for 21 days. And I just thought it was so awesome because this week when we were kind of talking about, where the Lord has been taking us, he reminded me of the process of when you become pregnant and the baby starts growing inside. And it's like week by week, things are happening. And as we were talking about it, I was like, wait, oh my goodness. Like, basically, it's like at 21 days is when the baby's heartbeat starts. And I was just like, Lord.
There's so much I want to say just right there.
Yes.
But that's all I'm going to say about it right there.
The heart starts to beat, and it's, they can actually detect the heartbeat. And so the heartbeat, basically, it starts at 21 days of life. And so we had built we built the altar, 21 days, and literally the next day, God started just releasing life to us personally for our family. And it was amazing. Like, wow, Lord, this is truly just amazing. And I feel like really it has just been continuing, just like in pregnancy, the baby every single day, it's just developing and growing, and it's always adding and adding and adding and adding. And I just felt like the Lord was comparing what he is doing, this process of fulfilling the promise in our life. He's like, it is like a pregnancy in the fact that he is adding to us and we've seen it so clearly. And as it's like, all right, we're going to add this. This is, for us, a lot of it is centered around just like the kind of things that the Lord is having us do during the day, and even just our scheduling. And so it's just like, all right, Lord, you're changing things. You're bringing about, like we talked about is before in one of our videos, of just like that thawing. And so.
Well, can I touch on that for a second?
Yeah.
Like the practical aspect, because we're saying that God released to us life, and I'm sure they're like, well, what is it? What is actually happening? Well, there's things that on this journey we pretty much shut down everything. Mm-hmm. Literally, we shut the entire life factory down. And God took us on this journey of just seeking him. Seemed like we went back to the altar, and that's all we were doing for a lot of 2017. And then God was beginning that whole Hosea 6:1-2, where he's strengthening and tearing down and tearing up and refurbing to prepare for what he was going to build. And there are certain things that we've just put on hold. I stopped my writing. I stopped doing the t-shirt thing. We stopped doing everything. We stopped doing the reading books and stuff for the sake of learning more about authorship. And there's other things. We don't want to get in all the details, but there's just everything. Everything we did, we just shut it down. And then we've gone on this journey. And even to to a certain degree, the education of the kiddos. Mm-hmm. They're not we haven't completely diseducated them. That's not what we're saying. It's just the routine, structure, format, hour upon hour type thing. We'd stop doing that. Mm-hmm. And throughout this whole journey, it's been one of those things, almost like the financial situation. I'm like, Lord, are you sure? We've kind of stuck with that kind of minimalist kind of education. But it's like, after that 21 days, isn't that the first thing he released? Mm-hmm. Was education. It's like, just randomly. But there are other things, spiritual things, other details that's just things that we've had to lay down, that we've been like, how about now? Should we do this now? Should we do this now? Nope. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then another year would go by, and another year, and it's like, this can't be the Lord. But it was. Mm-hmm. And so then the Lord just randomly, just like, okay, let's start that up again. And we're like, now? You know what I mean? And so it started, and it was not, because a lot of times you can get excited and you hear from the Lord, and it's like, yeah, and you're running, and once all your excitement runs out, so does the word of the Lord. And you realize, okay, that wasn't the Lord. That was just excitement. That was just me. Mm-hmm. That was just us doing. That's how you know it's the Lord a lot of times. And so basically the Lord turned that on, and it was so clear. It wasn't like a prophetic word or anything like that. It was like, here, let's do this. And you could just tell the Lord was in it. Mm-hmm. Because I tell you what, about 4, 5, 6 times I've tried to, come on, let's get this going. And the Lord's like, no. And you just, it's beyond doubt that it's like, the Lord's like, it is not time for that yet. And it's like, okay, we turn this on. And then even as we turn that on, how long did that last? We turned that on, and it just kept growing and developing and growing and developing and expanding. And I'm just like, wow, it's almost like we're back to where we started, just like that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, it's been amazing. So So there's been that, and then there's other things that I'm sure you're going to share, because I don't want to steal all your thunder. I just wanted to bring some clarification. I didn't want everything that we shared to be just totally ambiguous.
Yeah.
I wanted to show like there's certain things that are just being turned back on, that God's releasing, that's like that have been on hold this whole journey since basically about this time in 2017.
Yep.
So 3 years later, it's like, okay, we're good. We finished our course. Let's turn this back on.
Yeah.
Let's get this going again. And let's get that going again. Mm-hmm. Let's address this right here. What, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's like, we've been asking you that for like a year and a half, you know?
Mm-hmm. So as like the Lord's just been opening up for us the education and just kind of going in that direction, there's definitely been just an adding to it every single week.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really just been this process that He's taken us through. And
kind of like pregnancy, it's just getting bigger.
Yeah, exactly. And so there's just more and more and more that the Lord is adding on. Yeah. And as we continue to move in this, it's like as He's adding on, He's also just really strengthening and preparing us. I mean, really, pregnancy, it's like the baby is growing and growing and growing, so that it gets to a point though where it's birth and it's ready to be born at that point. And so it's like the Lord, I really feel like for our whole family, and I believe He's doing this process with a lot of other people as well,
sure.
Where He has you in a place where He's like, I'm telling you, the promise process has begun. And so I'm actually preparing you right now, each and every day of your life, for the complete fulfillment of that promise.
Well, and we can't look at our lives right now and go, well, it doesn't seem like it. We can't do that this year. Mm-mm. The first 3 years we could have said that. 2017, 2018, even 2019, it's just like, okay, I guess it's just going to be more spiritual stuff, more prophetic words, more it's happening in the spirit, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's fine, because we were building, God was building stuff in the spirit during those 3 years, but now we're really seeing things come to life again. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
You were serious about that resurrection thing, weren't you?
Yeah. and so as we're seeing, like, we're literally, it's like we're literally seeing the development. But what are we seeing the development of? We are seeing the development of our family and how the Lord is structuring Himself into our lives, and how He's just like, I'm the one leading. I'm the one going before you. And so you can just follow me, and whatever that looks like. And I'm telling you, it's like every day can be different. You know, yesterday we experienced that where it's like, okay, we're getting up, we're doing our God time. And it's like, all right, you know, typically what we've been doing after that is we're doing some education things and all of the, it's like, okay, this is how our day is going to roll out. And pretty much... He goes
to sleep. We were going to do this video. What was it? What was yesterday? Friday?
Yeah.
We were going to do that video yesterday.
Yes.
It was like, okay, apparently not.
Yeah. Because the Lord, as we were doing our God time, it was like very clear. Like He's like, I got something else for you guys today. I have, and it ended up being some heart work that He was doing on me.
Oh my gosh.
And really.
Totally unexpected.
Yeah. I was like, I didn't know I had a doctor's appointment today with you, Lord.
In the midst of us being receiving all this revelation and from God's heart about being led by the Spirit.
Yeah.
And how that is so important to be led by the Spirit,
Yeah.
Because it's easy to get into a routine of this, that, and the other thing and call that your life when it's really just your schedule and your routine that you're doing. Yeah. It's like, well, where's the Lord in it? Well, He fits in there. And it's like, well, that's the problem.
Yeah.
It's like the routine is made for you, not you for the routine. And let God come in and mess it up if He needs to.
Yeah.
Because it's about relationship with Him, not satisfying this idea or this standard, this expectation you have called life.
Yeah. And so it was just so interesting yesterday because, it was like, all right, we definitely know the Spirit's moving. But then afterwards, it was like,
what are you doing?
What are you doing? Like, come on, Lord.
I thought something was supposed to be happening here.
And then, but honestly, God was using that to bring out what He was really doing.
God was like, it is happening. You just don't see it.
Yeah, you just don't know it yet. and so really, it was awesome. Just like God was bringing my own heart just some victory in areas, and it was just like, wow, like really, again, here you are, Lord, bringing us to places where it's like, I'm bringing you victory. Why? Well, because I want you to have life. I want you to have an abundant life. And in order to have that, you need to be free in your heart, to just be who you are, to be, all that I've made you, to light. I want to be lighting up every area of your heart, leaving nothing undone.
I sense a segue coming here.
And so that's just kind of what happened yesterday, and it was just like, okay, wow, we so did not see that coming.
Yeah.
And
it was basically like a day off.
Yeah.
We needed food yesterday, and I needed to go to Costco, but God was like, nope. And I was like, well, I guess they're going to have to survive on turkey sandwiches or something. You know what I mean? Because it's like, the Lord's like, nope, don't do it.
Yeah.
It's like, what we think we need to do, if the Lord says, no, you really don't, then you really don't.
Mm-hmm.
We might want to do it to maybe feel a sense of security or comfort or something like that. But God's like, I am your security and your comfort.
Mm-hmm.
Just follow me. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
In this week of being led by the Spirit, we are literally being led by the Spirit. And it's not like we haven't been before. It's like we've said in previous videos.
Yeah.
Can I?
Yeah.
Like we've said in previous videos. It's not like the Lord has not been with us. Clearly the Lord's been with us. But God's like, I'm with you in the new place, and you're going to see and experience me in a new way.
Exactly.
But it's like the most important thing you can do is like, first of all, let's set up the altar. Get your heart in the right tune. Get your heart tuned to the new. And then follow me. It's like, well, that's what we've been doing this whole time. But yes, but not through all of this.
Yeah, this is all
it's been
new.
a long time since we've gone through this stuff together. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna slowly but surely get yourself in there. That's why you need the oil to lubricate yourself through the process. You know what I mean? You don't want to be coming out the dry desert going through this dry. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Getting all scraped up and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, speaking of segues, anyway, but one of the vision, I felt like the Lord in this whole promise process thing, and we were like, Lord, you're just like, you're turning things on. It's just like, there was a vision I had about it was like this factory. Mm-hmm. The whole factory was shut down. There wasn't anything wrong with the factory. It was just shut down for some reason. And so I had this vision of the Lord going. There was like a panel of these big, huge light switches. Like the light switch you might have at your house. Imagine it being like this big, and the Lord was coming and going, just turning up all these things. It was like, all right, full blown education. Here we go. And then there was a one night. But he was flipping up all these switches, and you could tell things were kind of wearing up, like, so it wasn't like we flipped it on and boom, everything was back to the way it always had been. Yeah. No, it was like, this is a slow startup, and it was almost kind of a representation of like, this is why you're in this, 6 months of oil, where you're just like, things are just warming up,
Yep.
And so there was this one night. What night was that? I don't remember what it was. But anyway, there was this one night where basically my heart was like not at rest. My spirit was not at rest. And I felt kind of a stirring of the nest kind of thing going on. And so I'm like, Lord, what is going on? What is this inside? And it's just like, because there was a part of me that was like, nah, maybe I should resist it. It's anxiety. I need this. But it really wasn't that. I know what anxiety feels like, and I'm like, no, this is something and I felt encouraged from the Lord, like, come on, let's get in. I felt like I was jumping into a mud wrestling match with the Lord. And I'm like, and my whole thing was like, I really feel like there's more that you're wanting to expand, because it was during a time where God was like, I'm expanding you. I'm expanding you. We haven't even talked about that, but it's like, I'm expanding you. And I'm like, but I feel like there's more, like with the education and the everything, and there were other things that were going on that we can't get into, but trust us, there are like literal physical manifestations of things happening, and I'm just like, there's got to be more. And it's like, I didn't get anything that night. It was more just like I wrestled with the Lord all night, but he didn't touch my hip. Praise the Lord. Anyway, so I don't have to walk with a limp for the rest of my life. But anyway, but then the next day, it was the next day, right? It was the next day, the Lord began to talk about like releasing the writing. I'm messing up the story. Do you remember how it went? How it happened?
Well, Joa was talking about books, and so then you were like, "Oh,
That's right.
I wrote a book."
It was reading time.
Yes.
That's what it was. And I was like, Bub, because he loves to read these fantasy books, and I was just like, Bub, I've written like 3 of those, because he was 4 the last time he read, or something like that. And he's 10 years old now. Oh, crazy. Anyway, and I was just like, I've written like 4 of those. I published 3, and then I got on Amazon. I showed him. I was like, look, my books are right here on Amazon. It's like I would redo every single one of them, revamp all of it and everything. But that right there, that little moment, that little random, it was an inspired lightning bolt from heaven. It was just like, pew, and it's like, here you go, flip. I'm going to turn that on. And I just got a sense of like, oh, I think this is the answer to the thing I was wrestling with last night. And it's funny because I think at the very beginning of the year, God just dropped this thing. He just kind of showed up and he's like, hey, you know what? When the writing gets going again, just like on the YouTube channel where Devin, you did it for a while by yourself, then I brought you and Michelle together. I just want you guys to be brought together in the writing ministry. Yeah. And I'm just like, oh, I would love that.
Yeah, we were both just like, this
that
would
is
be
perfect.
So awesome.
Yeah. It's like, because you're like, we are team people. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't even feel right doing a video by myself anymore,
Yeah.
Because God's just weaved us together. And I'm like, that would be so much better for us to be weaved together in the writing. And I just felt led of the Lord to be like, Michelle, what do you think about this? I think the Lord is like turning the writing on. And I'm like, well, that really messes with our minds, because I didn't think that the writing thing was going to happen until until we got in our home. And then that's when that was going to start and all that. But then it's like the Lord was basically going like, listen, I'm just warming this up.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you, come on, let's start writing a novel. It's like, let's just start world building again. Let's take Michelle on a world tour. Weren't you getting that word? You want to tell them about world tour?
Yeah. Yeah, well, the Lord he's been speaking that word to me this whole week, and it's really just kind of, again, like you just touched on, which is this idea of expansion and going more further in. And so with geography, it's like we really felt like, okay, we're supposed to just take a world tour, just kind of look at the different continents, but not, it really is just like just a tour. Like the Lord's like, I'm not, this is just what I want for you to do right now. It's just kind of,
because we were going to stick to the United States
and just be like, okay, let's really go deep with like the different things. But I felt like the Lord was like, no, like this is what I want to do. And so it's been really fun, for the kids, but it's just kind of that same sense, even with the writing, where it's like the Lord's like, yeah, I'm bringing you together. And even what he did yesterday for me personally, it was something that's like the Lord needed to do that in order to bring us together.
Yeah.
And
because we haven't really done anything on it yet.
Yeah, we haven't.
We haven't done any. I've been waiting for the moment. I was like, okay, you're releasing that? Cool. I'm just going to keep following you and wait for the moment, the opportunity for us to get together and do whatever it is you want us to do with it,
And so, again, it goes back to, like, listening to the Spirit of God. And we were talking about that, because it's like with the education, it literally that day we were just like, all right, let's start little bits, but with this, it's like, all right, Lord, you're just leading us. Like, however you want this to happen, we know that you will let us know how things are going to happen. But it's very much like, hey, let's just warm up your hearts to this. Warm up.
There
just
you go.
like
I'm turning that switch on.
Yeah, I'm turning on, and I'm starting to do the things that are going to be needed for him to do. In order to make that happen.
Yeah.
Which is very much like we're talking about. It's like the process that the Lord is sending us through. It's like it's actually all to prepare you for the very thing that I have for you to actually be a fully functioning.
Yeah.
It's like with, you're saying, like all the light switches. It's like, all right, we got that one on. But a lot of times in places that have like
the factories and
factories that have huge switches like that, sometimes they have to be done in a certain order. Otherwise you can, short circuit the system, or it's like, okay, we can turn that one on, but we have to wait for a little while before we turn anything else on.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like that's kind of the place that the Lord has us in, where he's like, he is constantly moving, but
he's constantly turning stuff on.
Yeah, but he's also like, I know what needs to come on when. that's why it's so important to just follow the lead of the Spirit of the Lord, because we were talking about, the enemy can come in and really start to push and really start to be like,
oh yeah,
come on, well, let's just, hey, he turned that on, so let's push for it.
Yeah, I couldn't keep you from turning it on, so now that it's on, I got a plan for when it's on.
Yeah. And so now it's like, hey, the power's on here. All right, well, you need to come up with, this
push,
certain way of doing things and
drive, like, produce,
yeah.
quota.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's how I drive the rest of the world. It's probably going to work on you. Oh, it's not working.
Yeah. And that's where it's like, okay, we just have to remain with the Lord and how he's moving in our life.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I just thought it was really cool because with the world tour thing, the Lord was just basically, did you want to tell that part?
Oh, no, you can.
Okay. The Lord was basically like, listen, I'm not telling you guys to write a novel. I just want you to introduce her. The first thing you're going to need to do is, first we're going to have a doctor's appointment.
Yeah.
Then, but the instructions were really simple. He's like, I want this to be like very simple.
Yeah.
Just like the education and all that stuff. Because education, when you're homeschooling, man, I tell you what, education is so much better. It's so much easier. You can go through things a lot quicker. That's a whole different video, but that we might never make. But anyway, it's like I have this entire world that I've spent 7 years developing and writing stories about. So I've got 7 years invested in this story. So I felt like the Lord was saying, all I want you to do is introduce her to this crazy vast world that you've created. Because she's already read my books. She was one of my beta readers for when I was publishing everything. So she knows the characters and the stories. But even that, it's like, let's get back into it. Even I have to do that.
Yeah.
I have to get back into it. Because when you're in the writing process, I mean, you're in it, man. You're consumed. Yeah. And you kind of need to be. I think that's why people like, Stephen King and stuff like that, they go off and they isolate themselves in a cabin or something like that, because, man, it is the best place to be, where you're just you're absorbed into the world of the story. It's the best way to put it out. And then in that way, all these fine little details and nuances. Yes. And it's like those, I have none of those right now for my own stories. And so it's like, even both of us, we're going to be going on this world tour through the world that I created.
Yeah.
And even back then, it was with the help of the Lord. Because I was like, Lord, I don't know what to do with this. But what do you want me to do? Yeah. Even back then, I was just trying to be led by the Spirit. And I just feel like I came up with some really cool stuff. But I think even now, even as published ideas, that's what they are. They're published ideas. Yeah. There's something you can take and make better than what they are right now. But it was really cool, because the Lord's like, here, I'm turning on the power of that as well. I'm bringing that which you laid down basically March 7th of 2017. Wow. Anyway, March 7th of 2017, I'm turning that back on too. Now, sometimes when you turn some power back on, the lights will come on at a certain wattage, and then as a period of a half an hour goes on, it'll keep getting brighter and brighter until it reaches full brightness, because if it went to full brightness right away, the bulb would bust. Yeah. Yeah. And I kind of feel like that's what's going on here. It's like we're just... Yeah. It's on, and now it's just going to keep getting brighter and brighter,
Or we had the image of you take something out of the freezer. It's out of the freezer. Oh, but you just set it on the countertop for it to thaw out.
It's that's been in the deep freeze for 3 years.
Yeah.
We're getting now?
It might take a little while for it to.
Because that's one of those, you take a side of beef and you just lay it on the counter. Boom. It's that's what that is. Wow. We're going to get into that? Yeah. Okay, I'm excited. Yeah.
But it's going to take a while for it.
But let me tell you something. It was really good to let that go, because so much of my heart and my anxiety and everything was, I was wrapped up, wasn't I? As much as I knew the Lord and I had grown to that point, man, I was wrapped up in this must be successful. This has to succeed, because if it doesn't succeed, how am I going to support my family? This has to happen. I was so deep. I was just 6 feet under deep into this, this has to, and I was stressed out pretty much every day, all day.
Yeah.
Because I was like, and I'd be publishing more books. I'd be writing more. Writing anxious and stressed is not good.
No.
But I was, because I was like, this is my job. This is what God wants me to do. This is what I got to do. I got to produce. And it's just like, no one was buying my books. No one was. And then when people would buy my books, then they wouldn't comment on it. I was like, I know what that means.
Yeah.
Especially if they're your friends. It's like, oh, Lord, that wasn't good. It's not good. Okay, great. So the Lord's led me to do this thing so I could fail at it. Great. This is all. There was so much going on at that time. And then the Lord just gently just kind of was just like, hey, man. Because I had finished book 4. I just finished book 4 in the 5-book series. I just finished it. And I was like, okay, and I'm ready to lay it down. You lay it down, you step away, and you go start another draft. And the Lord was like, no, don't do that. I'm going to do something different right now. And literally, I just knew I was supposed to lay it down. I knew it. And it's been laid down since then.
Yeah.
For 3 years. I was like, dang, that's really called stepping away.
Yeah. But, yeah. But it's just been a whole process. And so it's like we're just really seeing how, like, the Lord is just like, I'm starting to, for our life to release things. And I just believe that for others, He's doing the same thing. It can be in totally and completely different areas of your life.
Sure.
But it's like you can start to see, wow, Lord, you're bringing development to an area that maybe it has been dormant for years. It can be that the Lord is starting to add to places that you've been, that are open to you, but it's like, hey, I have more for you in this, and so it's just been really awesome to see that. And I just, I think that the Lord, He really is, He's so good in everything that He does, because He's like, I am preparing you for the very thing that your heart's desire to be fulfilled.
Because it's like I turn the, can I? Because that's what we do on this channel. We interrupt. And by we, I mean me. Anyway, it's like, okay, we shut down the factory. And then we went on this crazy journey. And now as we're coming back to the factory, it's like you're not coming back in
the same way
you came out.
Yeah.
You're going back into this way stronger. What is it? 3 times stronger, 3 times longer lasting, 3 times more powerful. We're just waiting on the 3 times more money. That's what we're waiting on. No, but it's like you come back in and you're so much better off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like when UFC fighters, you see them active a lot. It's like, and then they get caught with some dirty drug test or something from performance enhancement, and they're banned for 2 years. Everybody in the UFC community will be like, oh my gosh, they were just given a gift. They're 2 years. They're just going to get so much better, and they're going to come back in 2 years, and they're going to be a completely different fighter, and they're going to be amazing. Because when you're constantly fighting and constantly going through camps, you have to deal with injuries and overtraining. That's just going to happen.
Yeah.
But that's your job, and that's how you make money, right? So particularly if you're a champion and you're making champion money, you can take 2 years off, and you're only going to get better, and you're going to come back and you're going to dominate. Because you've got all this rest time.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of what our situation's been on. We've been on a 3-year suspension from the Lord.
Yeah.
And we're going to come back in, and we're going to be so much better.
Yeah.
But then we're going to be braided together.
Yay.
Because she's an author as well. And she's got, it's like her weaknesses I'm going to cover with my strengths.
Yeah.
And my weaknesses she's going to cover with her strength, and so together we have no weaknesses. It's just going to be strong. It's going to be good stuff coming out, not just stories.
Yeah.
But with and some things, honestly, personally, I believe cannot be turned on until we actually get into our home and have a stable environment. Like a kitchen. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. But it's like that's the process we're in. That promise process beginning,
Yeah, and it's very much, like with anything, there is a process to it. You start dating someone, you have the process that you go through before you get married. And a lot of places, they'll be like, okay, well, you have to go through like premarital counseling, because they really just want to send you through a process, if that works or not. is to be debated.
Ours was
But-
a joke.
Yeah,
I
but
think we did more premarital counseling with each other than we did with Pastor.
yeah.
Just like, dude, we already know this stuff. You're not
But-
telling us anything special.
But there's still a process of getting to know each other, moving towards that final, like, okay, we are
Yeah.
married and into life.
I was glad
because-
we went through it. But
Yeah. And so I just feel like that's really just what the Lord is doing. He's like, I have you in a process right now where I'm adding to you, I'm developing you to be even stronger, to be fully
like
ready.
a baby in a womb.
Yeah, to be fully ready to then be birthed into the place that I have for you.
I feel like our family has gone through a birthing process every year. No, seriously.
I know, for
2017,
real.
there was the birthing of the family. 2018, there was a birthing of the family, but it was always something new, and it was like breaking into more and more
Yeah.
territory and ground and all that. But it's like, it's crazy because this year, it's like, what are the signs and evidence surrounding us? This year, it's all physical. This year, it's all manifestation. And I was like, I thought 2018 was the manifestation story. You know, are you saying this is the manifestation? No. Because God was like, I was manifesting different things at that
Yeah.
time. But it's like here in this year of oil and spices, it's God's just manifesting things. It's just like he's turning things on. Things are being activated. There is a physical, like holding it in your hand kind of thing happening right now. And it's just, we're just excited. And so as we see that happen, it's almost like all the 3 years we've been like, come on, let's go. Let's run toward the promise. Let's run toward the promise. As we see it happening, we're going, oh, okay, cool. We're just going to stroll. We're going to take every day easy because we can clearly see things are happening.
Yeah.
And it's not
It's
just
different.
us. It's not our excitement because we've already gone through that process. It's not anything of us.
Mm-hmm.
It's just we can clearly see it's the Lord. And I'm just like, wow, this is awesome. You know, and of course, you guys have, for those of you who've been with us for a while, you've seen the Lord clearly take us through some things that he then pulls us out of because that was a process we needed to go through then, you know?
Well, guys, I think that's all that we have for you today. And I just pray that you guys are truly blessed, that you are seeing what the Lord is doing in your own hearts, in your own life, and just maybe just be aware of it, you know, that the Lord is saying like, hey, this winter is ending. It has ended. And so we're going to be seeing things. He's going to start bringing into your heart life. And there is just to be looking for it, be looking for the Lord, and continue to just, you know, see spring coming, see the flowers starting to spring up in your life, see the places that the Lord is just speaking into, and just go with his Spirit wherever that's going, and continue to just press in with his Spirit, going at his pace, not the pace you want to go at, but his pace, and just know that whatever he's doing, it's going to bring joy, it's going to bring life, and it's going to just be a place where peace is leading you. And so
because see, that's the pace the enemy wants you to have, is a driving pace. It's like, oh, I can't keep you from moving forward, but then fine, I'm going to drive you forward at my pace, and I'm going to make sure you're going as, you know what I mean, according to your own understanding. But man, I tell you what, I just got a word from the Lord right then in that moment. I felt like the Lord said, prepare for the blossoming. Prepare for the blossoming, because you know, you don't see that right away as spring starts. You just start to see the green, you know, and I just feel like the Lord's saying that, prepare for the blossoming, because it's like, it's coming. You know, because that's what makes spring so awesome. It's not so much just the green. Exactly. It's not so much just it's green and the trees are no longer bare, because I'm looking outside my window right now. It's completely bare. Because it's 43 degrees out there. But anyway, but it's like when it starts the weather's nicer, it's warmer, and then so the green can come out. But that's what you have. You have green, and it's just green everywhere. But then when those blossoms come out, man, it brings dynamic color to that time frame. You know, and I just felt like the Lord said that. Prepare for the blossoming, because it's coming. We're going to pray on that right here in a minute. So, bye. No, I'm just kidding.
So prepare for the blossoming, and until next time, guys, we will see you later.
Yes, love you guys.
All right, bye.